Welcome to the Man Sports Fan podcast. I am your host, Philby26, Philip Arthur Schultz. I'm here with Chris Smith 9. Hey Do. And From Dog Millionaire. Boys, how's it going?
Monday night, loving some football. How are you guys?
Same. Had a nice little weekend camping with my parents up north and got to unwind with a little Monday Night Football as well.
We got to see some vintage Aaron Rodgers tonight, and just a kind of a weird week in football. The favorites all won. Like, you don't see that in the NFL often, so
No.
Hopefully we can follow a similar path tonight. Just
Get all the
push it
W's.
right.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, again, threw a Hail Mary tonight. That's his fourth Hail Mary ever completed. Nobody else has done more than two. So Aaron Rodgers is the Hail Mary king. What is your favorite Hail Mary from Aaron Rodgers in the history of Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I think of the one I got most excited for, which I think somebody will probably name that. But I'm gonna pick the one that I think was most unexpected, which was the Jeff Janis Hail Mary and that divisional playoff game, I believe. Yeah.
Yep.
I just think the moment there, what a receiving core was. We had Jeff. Is his name Jeff Abderderis? Was
Jared.
There we
Jared?
go. Thank you.
He went to
I didn't know
Jared.
his name.
He went to Jared.
But we had such a depleted receiving core, and just that sequence of plays run something like inside our 5-yard line, and how we get it to Janis, even just to get the ball down the field, and then the insane just play Janis had to make on the ball, and to get that game to overtime was just incredible. Even though we didn't win the game, which is definitely a down part of that whole piece, but yeah, just the shock value of how we somehow were able to be in that moment and have an opportunity to win that game. That was really special.
Well, it was also like the play before. Like that, like there's like a couple plays before that was just insane too. So that was a crazy game.
Exactly.
I like the Randall Cobb. I believe that was against the New York Giants. That was only halftime, but I mean that was a playoff game as well. We got away with one of the most egregious pushes in the back I've ever seen by Randall Cobb, but the refs didn't throw the flag at all. And
I love that.
Make up for the fail, Mary.
He tapped his toes in the back of the end zone.
Redemption.
And took us a nice surge going into halftime there. So the playoff aspect of it was pretty sweet, and it being Randall Cobb from Rodgers is just a timeless duo.
Great duo. Mine is also from the Arizona game, and it wasn't a touchdown Hail Mary, but it was the play before to Janis that went for 50-some yards? I mean, throw, every time I watch it, it's like one of the most beautiful throws I've ever seen. But I'm counting that as a Hail Mary because it was fourth down. I think it was fourth down.
It was.
And
it was like fourth and 20.
It was one of the most unexpected outcomes. And it instantly put us in position to set up then the Hail Mary.
That whole drive is just, I think that's like the Rodgers, like that. If they're going to remember a drive from Rodgers, it's that, or when they scored against the Bears on like a 4th and 8 or whatever, the Cobb play. I think for me, it is Rodgers to Rodgers against the Lions on Thursday night. And it's only because the Packers looked so bad all game and were like barely hanging in by like random plays, mostly by Rodgers, I think. It was like we were supposed to lose the game. Like we just were so bad. The Lions are really good that game. And then he throws that Hail Mary out of nowhere. And I was with people where I'm watching the game with them, and it was like just so bleak. It just was a horrible game to watch, really. And then just pulled it out of the hat like that. So I'll always remember it.
I believe there was a face mask call that allowed us to set that play up even.
There was no time on the clock when that play was snapped.
Yeah, that's right. Because the play before it was like it was nothing, right? Like he barely did anything, or
Yep.
I think he got sacked.
Yeah, I think, but there was a face mask that allowed him to get that play in, and it was just wild.
That's right.
Insane.
Okay, so does
got him just close enough to be able to get it to the end zone. What they say, he almost hit the top of the dome when he threw it. He threw it so freaking high.
Yep.
Like,
gosh,
it's
Yeah,
insane.
that was Nance,
crazy.
I think, had the call. I think Nance had the call on that. That was wild.
Mm-hmm.
So is Aaron Rodgers just good at Hail Marys? Like, is that like a skill?
So
Who
like
wants
a
to
half
say- who
court
wants to speak
shot,
to that?
right?
Yeah. Well, if you watch like Rodgers in the Packer era, I don't think he's quite as athletic to do it, but he had a spin that he would do it, right? So I think he would flip out his backside, which is actually a pretty risky move to make as a QB. He would come back on his round, from his right side, and he would spin out, to give himself time to set it up to then like make the heave many times. It's pretty wild when you watch what he does. Like, but yeah, there's a whole like scheme to it, I think, for him. And then, getting the ball as high as he possibly can in the air. And yeah, the Rodgers to Rodgers to me, that's when I was the most like, I remember watching it with people. We lost it. It was wild.
I mean, that ball, like he could throw it so high, it would turn over like a spiral punt in the air. Like it would go end over end on it, and it would just come down like a rocket right in the middle of those scrums. It was insane how high you could throw it.
Well, even tonight, you saw how he gets that up to Lazard. Like, it's so high. Some guys throw that out of the end zone. They throw it short. There's definitely a skill to it. Sorry, Christy.
Oh, yeah.
No, you're good. I was going to compare it to a half court shot in basketball. Like some people are just good at that. And I feel like Rodgers just kind of knows how much touch to put on the ball. And shout out to that Richard Rodgers play. Carl was living in Michigan at the time and never let anyone in Michigan live that down. That was beautiful.
I still remember his Facebook Pure Michigan posts that he would put like every week.
All the time.
All the time. Hey, well, let's transition to the question that everybody's really thinking about here. What is your favorite pudding? If you had to choose a pudding.
Next,
and we'll get to why we're talking about pudding in a little bit. But yeah, if you're going to choose a pudding and this is all you're going to eat of any pudding for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Thanks for putting this question in here. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my bad joke. And butterscotch. Butterscotch all the way. I have other ones I debated about, but butterscotch is special. It's unique, flavorful. Nothing quite touches it. Butterscotch pudding.
I didn't see that coming.
I'm going to go the snack pack swirl with the chocolate and the vanilla in it. That hit different when I was a kid. I don't eat a lot of pudding anymore, but man, that tasted good when I was little.
Yeah. The snack pack butterscotch you're spot on. It's number one. I don't know what I would even consider number two. Give me butterscotch and I'm good.
Look at that. 2 of 4.
Yeah, that was crazy. I didn't expect that at all. I'm gonna go bread. I'm gonna go bread pudding.
What?
Bread pudding?
Come on.
Which is so
what is that
good. Have you had it?
You set us up for that.
Right. We're all going
bread
snack
pudding
pack.
is the best. Yeah, you all went snack back. I went the best pudding possible, which is bread pudding. If you were just talking snack packs here, then it's tapioca, and it's not close. But that's just. But bread pudding really does take the cake.
Phil, you lost it.
It's taking the cake now? What are we doing here?
What are we doing?
Okay, well, let's move on from pudding. Anything cool? We've been out for 2 weeks. We're gonna choose Monday. Is this the day we're all gonna meet all the time, except for Matty G?
I hope so.
Okay.
Yep. Be here.
Monday. Thank you for bread pudding. Maybe I will bring bread pudding next time.
I'm gonna bring some. I want to see this bread pudding.
Have you had some before? I
don't think I have actually. I don't.
You better make an appearance at the next draft.
Oh my gosh! I'll totally make you bread pudding if I go to the next draft. I need to go to the next draft.
This looks like monkey bread to me. This is monkey bread.
It's better. No.
This is monkey bread.
Just stop. It's not. All right. Well, let's move on. Let's give a shout out to pudding. We're sponsoring Cheddar Boost pudding. For those days when you're craving something rich, creamy, and packed with Wisconsin pride, this isn't your grandma's pudding, folks. It's pudding with an extra kick of cheddar cheese goodness, designed to keep you fooled through overtime, extra innings, and that inevitable fourth quarter comeback. Cheddar Boost, pudding that powers your passion. Available in all 50 states, but let's be real, it's best enjoyed in the heart of cheese country. With that being said, let's move to Wisconsin football. two big wins the last 2 weeks. 52-6 versus Purdue, which looks even better based on what happened with Illinois and Purdue this past week. And then 42-7 versus Rutgers at Rutgers. Granted, Rutgers, it's Rutgers, but they were pretty good record. Had beaten Washington already. What's the most impressive thing about the team that you noticed from these two wins? Again, these are by far the two biggest wins in the Luke Fickell era, I believe. And a couple weeks ago when we were podcasting, yeah, I felt a little more optimistic we could get to 6, but Frem was at 4. Things weren't looking good. So what's been the most impressive thing about the team that you've noticed?
Yeah, it's identity, right? We talked about how Wisconsin football in the first part of the season appeared to lose their identity quite a bit, from their ground and pound game that we've seen for year after year, having a stud running back and a really great O-line. And so just seeing the run game come together here, seeing multiple touchdowns on the ground, I think is huge for Wisconsin football, getting that identity back. And yeah, obviously winning, without any doubt here. And, I will note, I think Purdue rang up 49 points against Illinois this last weekend in a really tight game there. So Illinois was hanging in there with some other teams and had a good record to start the year. So starting to kind of wonder, like, this Badger team, if we have more life. I'll pass it here to Hato about what he thinks.
I didn't watch the last two games. I don't follow the Badgers quite as much as I follow the NFL, but we won 2 games that we're supposed to win, and I feel like that's a nice confidence booster for the Badgers that really needed a confidence booster after the way the season started. So I'm going to pass it to Chris.
Yeah. So you asked for 1. I'm going to give you 3 because Hayden didn't give 1 and Gardner's not here. So I'm giving us 3.
Yeah, you need to make up for it.
One is Braden Locke. Yeah, one is Braden Locke. Locke looks like he's in control of the offense. I think playing a little bit last year helped. I think USC, he wasn't quite there. He had 6 days of practice, not including the Alabama game. So he looked in control. He's throwing a nice deep ball and has converted on a couple over the past couple games. 2, the news about Ches Malusi not being with the team anymore, I think was a really good thing. It let Highway Walker be the RB1. And he's, what does he have? 8 touchdowns over the last 3 games, I believe it is. And is always falling forward. So he's getting tough yards. And then 3 third downs on defense. We're holding teams to shorter drives. We're getting stops. I think against Rutgers, I'm not sure if they got a first down until late in the second quarter. So we looked a lot more locked in. We're still not getting to the quarterback as much as I wish we would, but we are starting to lock down teams defensively, and that's been huge. So our offense hasn't been out of this world. With the points we're scoring, you'd probably expect us to play a little bit better offensively, but we're not making mistakes. And then, like I said, you can see the development right now, and it's good stuff.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just the big plays. I think this whole thing with Phil Longo, offensive coordinator, was, hey, that he's going to be able to generate big plays, big chunks pretty often, and we just weren't doing that consistently or making mistakes while those were going on. And like Chris said, not making mistakes, and then those chunk plays are holding. We're actually creating 30, 40, 50-yard plays where we just hadn't been able to do that. And so, yeah, it's good to see the confidence boost. I think, yeah, like many of you said, it's just we just haven't been able to sustain anything, just play poorly. So it's cool to see it. Has your mood changed about the Badgers, or are you still kind of is it a cautious optimism, or is it hey, we beat these 2 teams, but this is Purdue and Rutgers, we should kill these 2 teams? Where are you at in your mood with it?
Cautious optimism. I think this, turns the tide here, where I think we'll have a quote unquote successful season in terms of making a bowl game, and I think having a winning record here. I like looking at the schedule here. Northwestern, like the W there. Penn State and Oregon, 2 top 3 teams right now. Do not like those games at all. Playing at Iowa is always tough. Playing at, I think, Nebraska there too. I think I like Northwestern, probably Nebraska or Iowa, and and then I think we beat Minnesota. So I like us to get at least 7 wins here. I think 7 is achievable. I think other than that, though, I think that's just we're a bit too optimistic if we look beyond 7. But I like 7 wins and a bowl game right now. Which, to be fair, I think losing your starting quarterback, I think that's you'd say we salvaged the season. So I think that's an okay outlook for Badger football.
I will take us beating Northwestern and maybe Minnesota out of the next games that Frems was reading off there. But Iowa's good. And is that a game in Iowa?
I believe so.
Yes.
It
is not good. That would be a huge game, I think, for the fan base to kind of rally around Fickle if he can pull off that win. I think that would give us a little more confidence just in him, especially if he has a clean game, where it's not like Iowa's either, shooting themselves in the foot or anything like that. Like if we can just play a full complete game against Iowa, I think that's big morale for Fickle, because nobody expects him to beat Oregon or Penn State. It's like that's just really not a realistic win, and I don't see that being a realistic win for a few years here unless either of those places drop off. So but win the games you should, and I think that's a successful Badger rest of the season if they can win the games that they should.
Yeah, my mood has changed because a couple weeks ago I was saying I'm not sure if we're better than Rutgers. I kind of was putting us in that tier. And clearly we are still better than Rutgers, and we are still better than Purdue, and it's not even close. So that just makes me feel good. Yeah, I think I think we beat Northwestern. I think we keep the train rolling, and I actually think we beat Penn State. I don't think we beat Oregon. I don't think we belong on the same field as them, but we're due for a big win. It's been a long time. The crowd's going to be hyped. It was just announced it's going to be a 6:30 game on NBC. We're going to be coming off of 3 straight wins because we're beating Northwestern, as I said. And I just think that's going to be the turning point of the Fickle era is Penn State. From there, you're just playing with house money. I think you lose at Iowa. I think you lose to Oregon. I think you go into Nebraska and beat them. And I think we beat Minnesota at home. So what is that? That's
8.
That's 8. Okay. I'm very optimistic then. Let's go 8.
I'm going to stay at my 6. I felt like when I called it 2 weeks ago, I said, I think we're going to win these next 2 games, and then it's going to be a struggle. Iowa, it'd be awesome if we beat Penn State. I just think we still have enough of a talent deficit on the defensive line. We're still not getting to the quarterback. I think actually that makes a difference against Penn State. Man, I would love to believe that we either win at Iowa or at Nebraska, but these are 2 upcoming teams in the Big Ten too. Iowa just scored 40 points this past weekend. They didn't do that. Did they hit 30 last year?
Did they score 40 points all of last year combined? They were bad at scoring points.
Yeah,
Nebraska beat Rutgers 14-7. Let's put it in context here.
Yeah, I think I just look at Matt Rule, and for whatever reason, I think he's right now a better coach in the Big Ten than Fickle. Maybe I'm wrong though. Maybe I just watched some early Nebraska and saw some good things. So I'm still going to stay at 6. But hey, cautiously optimistic. And I think even just to see us kill 2 teams, we just needed some wins like that. Because it's been 21-14, 28-14. So feels pretty good. And man, Chris, if Luke Fickle beats Penn State, if we beat Penn State, that
a turning point, baby.
That could be the turning point.
That would be huge.
Well, let's move to our Green Bay Packers here. Play the Arizona Cardinals at home. A noon kickoff in the dairy, the cheese state. 11 a.m. for me, which meant I could not watch the first half, which is so sad live. I could not watch it live. I know I don't want to talk about it, but beat them 34-13. Handedly beat them. I initially put MVP of the game, but I just changed it. So what's your favorite player that you watched in the game? What's your favorite player that you watched in the game? I feel like this could go a number of different ways. So, Frem, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's... Yeah, I'd love to just talk about Jordan Love here, getting the 4 touchdowns there. I'm going to go Christian Watson just because I enjoy seeing that guy healthy. I just enjoy seeing his speed and athleticism and just imagining what kind of player he could be if he was healthy year round. I definitely would pick him as our number one wideout if he could be a 17 game receiver. It's just not the case with his health, but it's just fun to see. His sheer speed and athleticism when he is able to put it all together on the field. He can blow past, I think, most DBs in the league. He is that elite. So fun to watch him finally be successful on the field.
I'm similar to Frem here with, I could talk about Love's performance, but I think I gotta take all three phases of the game just as a whole. We won every single category in the game. Like we had more total yards, more passing yards, rushing yards, average yards per play was the same. They had 3 fumbles. We did throw a pick. They didn't throw a pick. Okay, you can give them that one. This one, I don't know if this is real or if this is a typo. Was there not a single sack in the game by either team?
I don't think so.
Not.
No,
I don't.
That is insane to me that there wasn't a single sack given up by either team. But time of possession, we dominated, and penalties. Only 5 penalties to Arizona's 13 after an abysmal penalty game last week. So I think just all 3, 2 out of the 3 phases, because our field goal kicking is, you can't.
Let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about it.
My answer is Romeo Doubs, just because of what happened off the field. We didn't really know what sort of headspace he'd be in, where he fits on this team. And Love just did not shy away from him, and he made some big plays. It was good to see some emotion. It just was a good sign. You talk about Watson. We know what Reed can do. He had 6 catches for 28 yards. He's just kind of making little plays here and there. We just have a lot of weapons, and Tucker Kraft is obviously booming as a star tight end in the league. So I just like what I see out of Doubs because truthfully, this is what LaFleur wants. It's just multiple weapons. You can't lock in on one guy. So yeah, it was good to see him score a couple touchdowns, and I think he's gonna be fine now. Whatever happened, I don't think, just sweep it under the rug.
Yeah, for me, it's Evan Williams, rookie out of Oregon, 4th round pick, because he just makes plays where you're we just haven't had this in a safety in a long time. And we've seen good rookies. We've seen Rashawn Gary was a good rookie, but Jair Alexander, he had a good rookie year. But Evan Williams is fun to watch because it just feels like he always makes the right play. I think at the third and 2, where Kyler Murray fakes the handoff, takes it himself, and Evan Williams does not. He does not follow the running back. He's following Kyler the entire time. In essence, puts him for a loss on a 3rd and 2. Darnell Savage, Rudy Ford would have bit. They would have bit on the running back, and Kyler would have went for yards. And then the peanut punch against Greg Dortch. Or maybe it was Greg Dortch or James Conner, one of the two. And it was just what Charles Tillman would have done with the Bears. And we've seen Charles Tillman do that so many times, unfortunately, against the Packers some. But Evan Williams just punched it out, as I think it was Greg Dortch, as he's going down. And it was just such a good play. I've watched a lot of 49ers this year, and Fred Warner does that a lot. It's man, this guy can play already. And with Xavier McKinney, with Javon Bullard, it's just oh my gosh, we actually have a tandem of safeties that are lethal, that are actually very good players. And I just think he made 2 huge plays, and it's not like the Cardinals are ready to come back, but anytime they got any inch of momentum, Packers made a play defensively. So it's just really cool to see that. Outside of kicking, do you have an area of concern? Obviously, we know Narvison's an issue, but outside of that, is there anything that you're concerned about?
I don't think the Arizona Cardinal offensive line is very good. Just a quick take on that. It's just seeing how they're, the commentators, what they said about their O-line, how they're putting that together. And just looking at statistically, how they've done this year. Not a big believer in what they can do. Maybe I can, fact check, how their run game has been. Looking at Houston coming up, I know we're going to talk about Houston here. Really concerned about what Houston can do on the run. Mixon has been a beast. They got Pierce behind him. Really worried about how we're going to defend the run. So that's a piece of the puzzle. We looked really good against their run game this week, and I just don't know if that is so much us, or if that's more so Arizona just has a really weak blocking up front against our defense. So not to say our defense isn't good, hasn't performed, but I'm wondering if Arizona really is one of those weaker run teams right now with their O-line. So that's still an area of concern, seeing how other teams just kind of chewed up our defense on the ground game.
I don't really think we have anything that's gonna make us lose a game besides the kicking. I mean, nothing really concerns me on the Packers right now. Maybe he's dropped passes on some short like crossing routes. We had a couple drop passes. I know Kraft dropped one in on a third down. But I feel really good about the Packers right now.
Yeah, my only real concern, and I think I've emphasized this before, is the run game. Like Jacobs, outside of his game against Indy, where he had like 150 yards, he's only averaging about 60-ish yards a game. He gets tough yards, but like he has to work for every yard he gets in games. And I don't know, like with the workload we're giving him, if he's going to be able to hold up the entire season. And I still have concerns about our running back depth. I know Emmanuel Wilson looks pretty good, but I would just be a little bit concerned as we get more into the colder weather games. Like if Jacobs gets hurt or is not efficient, like are we just going to turn it over to Love and just have him make every throw? Because I actually might be okay with that. But against some teams, you do have to establish the run, and so I just wonder how that'll play out as the year.
I thought he would have more burst than Jones. I don't think he has the same burst as him, which is just interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he would have more of that. I think for me, it's defensively. We're getting a ton of turnovers, which is super fun to watch. And I don't think it's all luck. I actually don't think it is. I think we're making some plays. Talked about Evan Williams before, but I actually think we're causing a lot of these, which is cool. I just think we give up too many big chunk plays still, whether it's longer runs or longer pass plays at times. And we're just getting away with it because of the amount of turnovers we're creating. And it's all that I feel like we've actually played really good situational football defensively where, get off the field on third down, that kind of thing. But against the Texans, just like what happened with the Vikings, could they tear us up? Where they're getting 20, 15, 20-yard plays pretty consistently. And so that's still a concern, and they're somewhat learning the defense. But part of it's, I think, what Frem hit at is that the pass rush just isn't what it needs to be yet. So maybe that gets better if the pass rush gets better. But, yeah, still a little bit worried about that, especially, one of the better offensive teams we're going to see coming up here.
Can I throw in a question before we transition?
Yeah.
Do any of you think the Packers make a trade at the deadline?
Don't see it with our current composition of our team and looking at what we have. I don't see it. I would love, to your point, Chris, I would love another running back on the roster. I would love that. Whether it's more of a catch passing receiver or a running back. Just something there for more depth. But I don't believe we're going to do it.
I'd love to go get a big splash guy like Max Crosby, but I don't see that happening. I don't really see anything happening significant. I'd like to, but it's typical Packers still.
I want them to trade for a kicker. Go trade for Will Lutz.
Yeah.
Matt Prater.
That would be great.
Can we do that?
Who else?
Mason Crosby.
Who are the bad teams? And who has a good kicker on the bad teams? Trade a fifth-round pick for a kicker.
Daniel Carlson.
Brother.
Trade a fifth-round pick.
Bring his brother in. That'd be great.
You can trade
his brother back. Yeah.
God. I don't think we can.
That would feel rough. That would feel rough for Anders.
One other quick point. I saw Arizona does have a top 10 rushing offense this year, but I think a good chunk of that is out of Kyler Murray. I think just one quick highlight is we proved in this game that we can contain running QB. So that's just something to highlight moving forward. I don't know if the NFC, we don't have Josh Allen or Lamar on our side of the conference setup, but just curious how that plays out. Is we have proven we can contain those rushing QBs with Kyler. So curious to see how that plays out moving forward of limiting teams, especially that dual threat option in today's game. So that's pretty exciting to see.
Frem alluded to it. Packers versus Texans. Who thinks we win the game? Raise your hand. Frem thinks we lose. Frem, what's your prediction for final score?
Yeah, I think we get it really close, and I just think Houston's just a little bit better at us in the clutch. I think they probably even go down late and probably get something like a field goal on us. I think until we can fix our kicking game, I think I'm just going to throw it out there. I think we're going to miss at least another field goal. And, yep, I know Nico's hurt, but you got Diggs. Tank Dell is proven he can do. If Mixon is healthy, they got a lot of options, and I think they're going to at least put up I think it's going to be about 27-24. I think they're going to beat us on a last second field goal. And it's going to hurt because I think Narvison's going to miss something again until we address that issue. I love the guy. I love Narv Dog, but unfortunately, I don't think he's our guy. And that's the painful point, I think, for Packer Nation right now.
If they lose by 3 and they miss a field goal, we will end up getting somebody different. It just hasn't really hurt us yet, I think.
Frem, do you actually love the Narv Dog?
I love the name. I really do.
Okay, just the name. We love the name.
I love the name. I think he's a nice guy.
I like the name.
He looks like a nice dude. Like, I'd probably grab a beer with him or something. But I mean, yeah, I just feel bad for him every time. Like, because I think he knows that he might not be good enough. Like when you look at him, he's like, yeah, I probably shouldn't be here.
Every time I hear his name, I think of Dr. Navarro from Despicable Me, and it just makes me laugh. It's like, well, he probably kicks like him too. So, but, I'm going to just stay on the side of optimism on this one. Where against the Vikings, I was leaning towards I didn't like our chances as much. I think we're more gelled, Love is back in full swing here now. So I think that it is a very close game as well. I just think we do call it luck, call it right timing. I think we create some turnovers in some big spots like we've been doing still, and I think that helps us take out a close one.
Yeah, I think this is kind of a lazy take, but I want to see Stroud on the road, not on turf, in a little bit colder weather. Like I'm just not quite sure yet what he's going to look like in that environment, in a hostile environment too. And Houston doesn't really travel. So I don't know. Just curious.
It better be cold. It's the whiteout game. So it's going to be all white jerseys.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I do love that.
Yeah. Okay. You love it. Does anybody else love it?
Love it.
I'm like all in on it.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah. We are the snow capital, some would say maybe. So yeah, why not?
Supposedly Jordan Love had that idea, I think, when it first came out. So, Frem, tell us about one of our other sponsors here.
Well, we were talking about Hail Marys. Why not the Hail Mary Pizza? The only pizza place where every slice is a game changer. Whether you're into deep dish, thin crust, or going the ultimate Hail Mary with stuffed crust, they've got you covered. Just like Aaron Rodgers, when it counts most, they deliver right on the money. Perfect for game day or post-victory celebrations, Hail Mary Pizza was unbeatable, and it has unbeatable deals to keep your fridge and your fan spirit full. Call now for the last-minute deal and get free breadsticks with any order over $20. Hail Mary Pizza, when you need a win, go deep.
Oh, yeah. Free breadsticks?
Those breadsticks hit deep.
Heck of a deal.
They slap, I hear.
No doubt.
That was very good, friend.
Man. So, yeah, Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary to Lazard tonight. Whew. Yeah, thank you, Hail Mary Pizza.
I'm hungry right now.
Yeah. Hey, well, let's hit we've hit a lot of football tonight, which has been amazing. We went from pudding to football, which I'm so into. Let's go to state of football. Just in the NFL, there's a lot going on. NFC North has the 4 highest point differentials in the league. Outside of that, what impresses you about it, considering that Vikings are undefeated, Lions 4-1, Packers, Bears 4-2? What impresses you about it?
Yeah, I just think it's pretty obvious that the NFC North has never been this top tier division in football, right? I think you look out to whether it's been over the years, maybe the AFC North has been really hot, or maybe it's been the AFC East at times. I think NFC East has, had their heyday. NFC West has had, multiple powerhouse teams out there. Just to see all 4 teams with 4 wins is really impressive. I don't think anyone expected the Bears to be 4-2 right now with Caleb Williams. I think the Packers and Lions definitely garnered attention preseason, but even the Vikings now, just seeing how hot they are right now, I think there's just something to be said for how the NFC North is playing football right now. With a lot of uncertain situations, and just seeing how all of them would play out. I mean, especially, highlighting the Packers. We didn't have Jordan Love for 2 games, right? And we are still in the thick of it with everyone. So it's exciting. It's problematic, I think, just to try to win the NFC North this year, but I think it's also really fun. And I'll just highlight, this makes these divisional games so much more meaningful. I think there's so much more hype behind them. And I think, that's awesome for the division. And I think these games will feel a lot bigger, when we're playing any of these divisional opponents.
Yeah, I like that we haven't even gotten to the meat of like the NFC North playing each other yet. So that's going to make for very exciting football down the stretch here. And I think you might see, I haven't looked at like the full NFL schedule yet, but you might get some of these NFC North games flexed into primetime positions if they're not already. I think that's going to be must-watch football going down the stretch here. Everybody's going to want to know who's going to win the NFC North, and I think whoever does or whoever makes it out of the North has got a legitimate shot at making a run through. I don't think it's just the Niners anymore as the clear-cut favorites, as the standout, even in just like daily talk shows that you see. I feel like people still think the Niners are a great team, but I think that they see that the NFC North has got some guys that can compete with them and take them down as well. So I think that's nice that we're getting a lot of credit just as across the NFC as a whole. And also credit to Caleb Williams, man. He's got 4 wins in the toughest division of football, and it's his rookie year. He's showed a lot of grit for how much flack he gets. He's just kept his head down and played winning football. So it's cool to see 4 great quarterbacks across the board. Well, maybe not great yet for Caleb Williams, but 4 winning quarterbacks across the board.
Yeah, that's it for me too. It's the quarterbacks. They're all pretty legit. Darnold, I do think we'll see a dip from Darnold at some point during the season. The question is, will he be able to bounce back when he has that dip? But the quarterbacks are good, the receivers are really good, and the tight ends are really good. And I'm assuming Hawkinson's going to come back at some point. Like, there's just so many weapons in the division offensively that any of these teams could potentially, as the Bears continue to get better, like play in shootout games. This isn't going to be your old NFC North. We're going to run it low-scoring games. I think all these teams can legit put up 30 a week. So it's just going to be interesting to see, like, the ascension of the Bears. Will that continue? And can the Vikings, they obviously will not keep up the pace they're on now, but can they continue to win games against good teams down the stretch? If that's the case, I think we all agree the Lions and Packers aren't going anywhere. So you're right, Aiden. These games are going to be awesome as we get, we haven't had a lot of division games yet in the NFC North. So it's going to be a fun second half of the year.
Yeah, I think you guys talk about the quarterbacks. I think for me, I think all the defenses are good, which I think that's actually why they're so propelled here. The Minnesota defense is just blitzing everybody, and they're creating tons of pressure. Detroit has played so well defensively. Granted, Aiden Hutchinson got hurt, which definitely changes their team a lot. And I know that was like the NFL collective sigh. I think we all felt that, which sucked. Green Bay's defense is obviously playing really well, generating a ton of turnovers. And then the Bears, I think, are also up there in terms of the metrics. Their defense also has a ton of talent. And so I think that's what's interesting is we have the quarterbacks, young receivers. It feels like a lot of the really good coaches are in the NFC North right now. But man, their defenses are all playing really well. And we just know come playoff football, your defense has to be able to make stops. And it feels like all 4 of these teams can make stops. So it'll be interesting to see how it kind of plays out. A number of you, I think 3 of us said that Aiden Hutchinson, or I should say the Lions would win the NFC North. Who you got it now, looking at the Aiden Hutchinson injury, he's probably, definitely on par for Defensive Player of the Year. Does that change your pick? Who do you have now winning the NFC North at this point?
I think I was the only one that had the Packers, so I'm going to double down with the Packers right now, and I think we still have a shot. mean, obviously, I think anyone could pivot to Minnesota right now, but I think Chris brings up a lot of valid points that can they hold on? Can they figure this out? Just highlighting what Hayden already said. I mean, who would think, right now, kind of coming up in the middle of the season, that Lions-Vikings this week would just be like a huge matchup. And so, yeah, I definitely hope these games do get flexed to primetime later in the year. But, yeah, really fun. And I think one more highlight out of this conversation is isn't it so great to have excitement around these rivalries? I think, like, who wants to see, the Bears be terrible or if it's the Lions, Vikings, like each one of these games, it's just like, okay, whatever, we're just going to, play a divisional opponent again. It's fun to have the hype. It's fun to have the excitement, have the banter with people, locally, get excited or, trash talk, whatnot. So, but yeah, I'm still with the Pack. I still think we have a legit chance to win the division. Hopefully Minnesota will do what they normally do and spiral and fall apart. And hopefully, nothing, obviously hope Aiden Hutchinson heals up quickly here, but I do think this will set the Lions back a little bit, and so hopefully we can rise above here.
I just want to tell you, I posted what you put at the beginning of the season. You said the Lions are going to win it. I just want you to know that.
Is this a fact check? I thought we weren't fact checking.
Oh no,
we just fact checked you. I just posted it in the script. So
I wish I would have picked the Packers.
Well, you're okay. So you're going to the Pack now. Okay,
I'm changing my
Lions
mind.
to Packers. Okay. Well, you've just seen Love, and you're like, oh, yeah, he has 12 touchdowns, and he's missed 2 games. So,
well,
sorry, you got fact checked.
I tried to do it on the video. I sort of said that was me. But okay.
Frem, you deserve better than that. I apologize.
I agree.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to humiliate you, Frem. I just had to do it.
It's all good. Hey, you got to be willing to admit when you're wrong, and I was wrong. There you go.
That's a good Lutheran in you. All right, Hayden.
As we stand today, looking at this Packers schedule, I think that the Packers have a vintage Rodgers run here, and we have 3 of our last 5 games are divisional opponents here. We beat the Lions, we beat the Vikings, and we beat the Bears to end the season to clinch the division and set ourselves up for a nice little playoff run.
Yeah, I'm not going to waver from the Lions. Like, if you watch the Cowboys game on Sunday, I think they just get bored and they're like, all right, who do we want to give this next touchdown to? Like, let's give it to our left guard. Let's get it to our center. Let's get it to Jameson Williams. Let's run a halfback screen pass to Sam Laporta. Like, they can just the amount of tricks they have in their bag. Like, I don't know. Offensively, I just find them very hard to stop. So yeah, I got to go with the Lions, and I'm still predicting them to win the Super Bowl as well. But this Hutchinson thing is rough. I don't know how you bounce back from that.
He's defensive. He was probably going to be defensive player of the year if he had been healthy all year.
For sure.
So like losing him is a pretty big deal. I'm actually going to go with the Vikings, which is really gross. And I'm from Eau Claire, so like I really hate them. If you look at their schedule, they have the Lions at home. I actually think the Lions beat them this weekend. I don't know. I don't know what I think yet. But then they play the Rams, Colts, Jaguars, Titans, Bears, Cardinals, Falcons, Seahawks, Packers, Lions. It's a very manageable schedule. I just think Kevin O'Connell's that good. I don't know if Sam Darnold's that good. Is he Brock Purdy? And if he's Brock Purdy, that does it. He's good enough. I know the Pack came back in a crazy way, when they were at Lambeau 2 weeks ago. But I also when they had to make a drive, they did. And I to me, I believe in that team, unfortunately. and so I actually think I'm going to change it. Because I don't know. It just feels like they do enough, and they're very good defensively. I don't know if that's going to change with Brian Flores. Brian Flores is a really, really good defensive coordinator. Which is, I just hate saying that. So I'm changing my own Packers pick, which is brutal. But I'm going to move on from it because I think it makes sense, especially with their schedule. Let's look at the coaches. Robert Saleh is already fired. Looks like Doug Peterson's on the hot seat. Mike McCarthy should be on the hot seat. I was even maybe thinking he could be fired. Outside of those two or those three, Salah, Peterson, McCarthy, who's coach on the hot seat?
Stefanski has to be on the hot seat. The Cleveland situation is melting as we speak. His desire to hold on to Watson, maybe that's a company decision that, this is the guy they traded for. They have to keep him. I think many people are calling for Jameis Winston to be starting right now. It's clear that Watson's not playing the best football right now. They have pieces. They have Cooper. They have Judy. Their running back situation is serviceable. I don't think their O-line is terrible. Watson just simply is not a top tier quarterback right now. He's definitely got to be outside the top 10. I'll fact check myself on that. You start to wonder, like, is Watson in the back half of the league in terms of quality quarterbacks right now? And so it might be more of a player thing, but I have to wonder. If the Bengals heat up here and Cleveland's sitting at the bottom of that division, I don't think they're going to be very patient. Yeah, with being at the bottom of the division for Stefanski.
I'll say Brian Callahan, Tennessee Titans. Is that how you say his last name? It's Callahan,
yep.
Right?
Tommy.
I just don't know if it's his fault. They're just a bad football team, and I don't know how I don't know how you coach a bad football team, and if you can't win, obviously you can't keep your job. Just the whole situation with Will Levis, it seems like he doesn't know if he wants to start him, but he feels like he has to start him. And I think he's just caught in kind of a whirlwind of really, really bad everything right now, and he's going to be the first guy to pay the piper for it. But I did really want to say Nick Sirianni, because if he doesn't win this year, I think they boot him out. Sorry if I stole yours, Chris.
No, that's a good one. I wasn't really thinking about that. I was actually, as I was going through this, thinking through coaches. There's a lot of good coaches in the league. Like, I don't think this is going to be like a fire sale type offseason. But the one I'll throw out, I actually don't think this will happen, but I'll go Shane Steichen of the Colts, just because I'm not sure if really Anthony Richardson is going to be a franchise QB. I think there's a lot of red flags with him. And they are built to win right now. Like, they have a talented roster, but they're just not very good. So, like I said, I think he'll get at least another year, but the Colts are sort of in disarray right now. And if Richardson doesn't work out, I don't know what their backup plan is going to be. They've been searching for a QB for a long time, going after veterans. It just hasn't worked out. So I don't know. Sometimes, like you said, the coach takes the fall, even though it's really nothing they can do sometimes.
If they get close to the playoffs, Chris, do they offer Flacco another 1-year deal?
Yeah, I mean, why not? He's a great backup. And maybe even a starter.
Yeah. He said the Browns didn't even offer him a contract after last year, which is crazy with their situation.
You don't want QB controversy there, right?
Well, I just put in our chat, but Watson has basically the worst QBR in the league. It's 31st.
Yeah, he's awful.
Our Will Levis. I just
Levi's
begs a question, like, okay, at some point when you got a guy like Jameis there, who's, I would say, pretty much a top backup QB in the league.
Yeah, it's crazy how bad Watson's fallen. It's just crazy to me. I think for me, it's Antonio Pierce, and here's why. I know they hired him on. They've in essence they lost to the Panthers. They lost to the Chargers. They barely beat Baltimore. They got lucky and beat Baltimore. Ripped the survivor pool. Lost at Denver really badly. Lost to Pittsburgh at home. Their next games are at the Rams, Chiefs at home, at Bengals, at Miami, Denver at home, at Kansas City, at Tampa Bay, Atlanta at home. They could realistically lose all those games. They could legitimately lose all of them. And yeah, it just feels like the players really wanted Pierce. And I don't know. I think he's overmatched. They're starting out games really well and then faltering. Like, they're starting out games like the first drive's really good or the first quarter is good and then completely faltering. That's a coach thing. That's not a player thing in my head. That's a coach thing. So that's who I got. They just hired him, but I could just see it. I could see them firing him after the season if it just goes to crap here.
Well, I don't think history proves the interim head coach turn hire to head coach really pans out very well. So I think that's a pretty safe bet that AP probably gets the hack after this year as well.
Yeah, that was a good pick.
And he might be a good coach for defense or, like a position coach, but just not there yet, and I don't know.
Has there ever been a head coach that has just stepped down and taken a coordinator role for the same team?
It happened not that long ago. I feel like I'm not remembering the guy.
Because what if Saleh would have just been like, "Hey, I'll be the D coordinator for the Jets, right? So I can keep a job." I mean, I guess it gets weird because then you're just like,
I don't.
The guy that
I don't see that happening.
We're taking orders from. You're no longer taking orders from. I guess it could be weird, but
maybe he goes back to the Giants as some linebackers coach or defensive coordinator, or assistant head coach even. I don't know. Let's move from coaches, which are just sad. I was looking at the state of coaches, to the MVP. Again, we're only 6 weeks in, but if you were to pick an MVP, who would it be?
Ooh, MVP of the entire NFL right now. That is a really good question. I'm gonna just.
That's what I asked.
It's a great question.
I know. I'm second guessing myself. I'm gonna go with the guy that I have in my bold predictions here. I think Justin Fields is MVP of the first half with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And hey, this Steelers team looks completely different. I think different energy. I think this team is something else. And yeah, my bold take with that is I think he's going to start the rest of the way. And I think the Steelers are going to be a really hot team. I don't know. There just seems to be a new life to this team with him starting.
I'm going to pick, as of right now, I'm going to pick Sam Darnold. And barely beating out CJ Stroud, only because I looked at their rush yards. Sam Darnold's got 61 rush yards on the season, and CJ Stroud's only got 75. He's got a few more passing yards than him, but every other category belongs to Darnold. And I think he's been the most efficient, and he's undefeated, and he's killing it.
Yeah, I think you take the record aside for this team, but I think Joe Burrow is in a really good position to win the MVP. Got off to a little bit of a slow start, but he's got 12 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, a QB rating of 110 right now, and a completion percentage of 71.6. Like, if they continue to play well, they're not playing well now, but if they start playing well and win some games and make the playoffs, I think he's in a great spot to win MVP.
But we all pick somebody different. I'm going to go Derrick Henry. I don't think any QB has been that outstanding. I mean, Burrow's been good. Darnold's been good. But their team record is so bad. I wonder if that'll be held against them. Derrick Henry has 704 yards and 8 touchdowns through 6 games. He could realistically get to 2,000 easily and be upwards of 20 to 25 touchdowns. And I know he's not CMC. And maybe you could even make the argument CMC, could have won it. But if he stays healthy and plays all these games, I mean, they're going to keep running the ball. They're almost an unstoppable offense now with him. So I actually think he's been the most impactful player this year out of all of it. So
yeah,
that's cool, guys. We didn't even try to do that.
I'll just make sure I point out this is who we think the current MVP of the season stopped today. I don't think Justin Fields will be the MVP by the end of the season, but
I was going to ask that question too. This is just who I think would win it right now.
Correct.
Okay,
where we stand.
That's fair. So you're not predicting. Well, I'm
not predicting Sam Darnold to be the MVP at the end of the year.
No, I would not.
Predicting him. I would say if they gave the award out today, my pick would be Sam Darnold.
That's pretty good. I was looking at Justin Fields' stats. He has 10 touchdowns total. I mean, he has 5 rushing, 5 passing. He's been really good. It's the reclamation project, man. It's working.
It's interesting to say the least.
Yeah. All right, let's go to one quick hot take. rest of the season. You had to make one prediction that's a little outlandish. What do you got?
So that's what I said. I kind of previewed that, but Justin Fields starting the rest of the season. And I think the Steelers are going to win the AFC North, which I think is kind of crazy thinking about that. Maybe Joe Burrow is going to get hot here. Obviously, the Ravens look like maybe the best team in football right now. Derrick Henry is definitely, like you said, Phil, a huge force to be reckoned with. But I just seen the energy with Tomlin and his post-game interview, and something's different about Najee Harris. I don't know what happened to that guy. I don't know if we're going to find out later. He was using something, but the dude is just running differently. Running like, I think what we saw in Alabama and early, in his career here. So, and TJ Watt is, I think you could definitely say easily the, defensive player of the year and likely will be if he stays healthy. So that team's special. And I think the Steelers win the AFC North behind Justin Fields.
I think the Bengals just get hot and go on a big, long run. If their defense can, they don't have to be great, but if their defense can, stop anybody in any key situation, their offense is going to have no problem scoring the points the rest of the year. Joe Burrow is going to go off to what Chris said before about him potentially being the MVP at the end of the year if they don't. Or I think if they make the playoffs, his record right now doesn't matter. I mean, obviously he's in the playoffs. I don't know if they'll win their division. I don't know if they can claw back that much, but I think they can squeak into the playoffs and they can make a really fun run and they can score a lot of points, and that's what people want to see.
Yeah, I'll say the Falcons make the Super Bowl. And the reason I say that is because they lost week 1 to Pittsburgh. And if you remember, Cousins first came back from a torn Achilles. He just wasn't in game mode yet. Didn't look good. A lot of teams didn't look good week 1. Their only other loss was to Kansas City. That was a Sunday night game. They played really well. That game came down to the last drive of the game. They've beaten Philadelphia. They've beaten New Orleans. They've beaten Tampa Bay. They've finally figured out that they don't need to feature Bijan. Him and Algier are both really good. And they're committing to the run. They found a steal in Darnell Mooney. And I don't know if anyone's paying attention, but Drake London is becoming a superstar right now. And I didn't even mention Kyle Pitts, who I'm actually not sure if he's even that good. I think the jury's out on that. They have a great kicker. They have a pretty solid defense. I mean, they invested some capital in the offseason. So, I mean, it's maybe a stretch because the NFC is so good, but the Falcons are going to fly under the radar, I think, no pun intended. And Kirk Cousins has won a primetime game this year already. So maybe he's got something figured out.
I would be happy for him if he made a Super Bowl. That would be awesome for him. Because everybody's, I feel like, always wondered, is he that good? Where is his place? In the QB echelon. So that'd be cool if he did it.
And he shops at Kohl's. So that's cool too.
So true.
He's a fan of Herb. My hot take. Rams right now they're at 1-4. They get to 9-8, sneak into the playoffs as a 7 seed, and I'll leave it there. I know Chris, we were talking. Do they win a playoff game? Maybe, but I think they at least make the playoffs at 9-8. Their defensive line is extremely good, and I think that will pay dividends. They're going to get people back from injury. Kupp, Puka Nacua. They're going to get some players back here. Offensive linemen are also injured. I think they'll get those guys back. Yeah, man, NFL's crazy. So many different things can happen. Hayden, we have another sponsor. Do you want to read it for us?
We do. Offsides Alarm Clock. Tonight's episode is brought to you by the Offsides Alarm Clock. For when you really need to get a head start on your day, whether you're waking up 5 minutes early or just a little too eager, Offsides Alarm Clocks ensures you will jump out of bed before anyone else, even if it costs you a penalty or two. Because let's face it, nothing says ready for the day like waking up early enough to regret it. Offsides Alarm Clocks, because life doesn't always come with a free play.
Unless you're Aaron Rodgers.
So good.
Honestly. All right. This is a friend special. Frem came up with this question. We're at our top 5, which we probably need some music for our top 5. We'll have to figure that out.
We do.
Maybe type into ChatGPT a little jingle. I don't know if they do that, but or if the AI does that, not they. Top 5 favorite places to shop. Frem, were you thinking online stores with this? Grocery stores? Just regular retail stores?
I wanted it open-ended. I think some, I think there's many, big stores out there right now. We have Sam's Club, Costco in there that are selling just about everything now. So left it open-ended. Could go down a rabbit hole if you wanted to, but yeah, just left it that way.
Okay. Let's do this. Hayden, you start us first. Tell us your top 5 and then focus on one of them.
All right, top 5 here. Number 5, I went with like Farm and Fleet, Menards, Home Depot type stores. The only issue with this one is like I only really buy dog food there because I can't really afford anything else there because it's all so wildly expensive. But it's really nice to walk up and down the aisles and like look at the hatchets and like the axes and the sick riding lawnmowers and all the yard utensils and stuff like that. Like it just like brightens up your day. You smell the rubber from like the tires of the tire section at Farm and Fleet. It just kind of makes you feel good. So I picked that open-ended store kind of Farm and Fleet Menards style. REI, if you've never been to an REI, it's another crazy expensive store, but it has really cool outdoor necessities, camping gear, hiking gear, great shoes, stuff like that. My wife and I really enjoy hitting up REI whenever we're in Madison. Aldi's for all of your grocery needs, and your wallet will appreciate you shopping at Aldi. Nevada Bob's, this is a local golf store. It's like a secondhand golf store in, it's got new stuff, but it's also a secondhand golf store in Madison. I pop in there on Thursdays whenever I stop in at the office and just check out as many putters as I can handle and hit as many clubs as they'll let me hit before they tell me to leave. It's just a cool spot to go. And then GameStop. This was more nostalgia for me. This is like, when I used to go buy disc video games, like it was so cool going into GameStop and checking out all the new consoles, all the consoles you didn't have that you wish you had, and just all the games you'd never heard of. But it just kind of playing the free games, the demo games, like it was so awesome. So that is my top 5.
Chris, we'll move to you.
Okay. Vintage GameStop. Yeah, that brings back some memories. I remember when I first got a PS2, I went to GameStop and just this is the best thing ever.
I just bought my PS5 there.
Nice. Still a great place.
Mm-hmm.
My number 5, this is a Frem special. I didn't give an actual answer to the 5, but I just went card shops. I love sports cards. I just love, Hayden and I actually went to a card shop. We were up north recently. And it's just awesome to see what those places have. And the other one is disc golf stores, just because I love going in and just looking at discs. It's amazing. Number 4, Under Armour, loyal to the Wisconsin Badgers, so gotta wear Under Armour. 3, eBay, just get lost in the world of eBay. Number 2, as Frem alluded to earlier, Sam's Club. It's better than Costco. Sorry, Phil, I know you're not here, but it's better than Costco. And number 1, my favorite is Best Buy. I've been a loyal Best Buy customer for a long time. In fact, when I was in high school, me and a friend would drive to Best Buy just to buy a CD from a band we didn't know and then listen to it on the drive back home. Because if you remember, Best Buy had the ultimate music collection back in the day. But they've actually expanded their products, so they're kind of all over the map now too in what they sell. And as a Best Buy credit card owner, you get some discounts along the way as well. That's my top 5.
Cool. I'll go me, and then Frem, since this is your question, we'll end with you. So for me, number 5, used bookstores. I love going into used bookstores. I almost inevitably buy books when I go there. And I love books. So I love that. I just love looking through them, seeing what's out there. Sometimes it's like different authors that I love, or should say authors that I know that I love. Sometimes like, oh, this book looks interesting, whether it's history or that kind of thing. so I get pretty into it. Number 4 is Craigslist. I'm really into free Craigslist, and I found some really good finds. But also regular Craigslist, also good. People are just selling stuff, man. It always surprises me. Number 3, Trader Joe's. I think one of the more underrated grocery stores. I know that people know Trader Joe's, they love it, but not everybody goes there, and you should go there, especially for the candy. The candy is incredible. Their chocolate peanut butter cups, dark chocolate peanut butter cups, insanely good, life changing, I would say. But also really good frozen foods, way more than you'd realize. Even like Indian food stuff. Like I don't eat a lot of Indian food or that kind of thing, but man, they got some good products there. Number 2, Amazon. I'm just looking for the cheap stuff, man. Give me Amazon. It's from China. Great. I need the cheap stuff, and Amazon gives me that. And yeah, I'm thankful for Amazon, especially with 4 kids. Need to buy all my baby supplies from Amazon. That's key. Number 1, and it's really the only one in my heart right now, is Costco. And me and From are on the same page here. I can't wait till he gets to his top 5. Costco is just different, man. It is a cult. And I'm proud to be part of it. Once I enter the Costco, anything could happen. I could literally go and be like, I'm going to buy these 2 things. It could turn into 10 things out of nowhere. I could go from spending $40 to $200, which is both glorious and dangerous in the same time. But man, I think once you're part of it, you can never go back. That's where I'm at.
Costco cult.
From back to you in the studio.
Give me the cheap stuff.
Give me the cheap stuff
in the Costco cult. I love it. Love that I've got you all to conform with generalizing these topics, not giving a specific answer. So online jersey resale sites, we do our fantasy football draft. Always looking out there for resales on those jerseys, even for little kids, little boys. Try to get them some cool jerseys. Look at the resale sites, some pretty cool apps out there. TJ Maxx, a bunch of random stuff there all the time, kind of like a Marshall's, basically same kind of store. Looking for cheap sportswear, toys, kids stuff, random household products. TJ Maxx. If you're looking for the cheap stuff, Phil, TJ Maxx is your place. Aldi. So story there. Trader Joe's and Aldi. The owners of each were brothers, I was once told. I think they're both from, I want to say, Germany, and they just run very different stores, but one's based on customer service, Trader Joe's. Aldi's based on efficiency. It's kind of a fun little story there, the tie between Trader Joe's and Aldi. Love to get in and out of Aldi. They're the most efficient place at checking you out. Target, you have a girlfriend, a wife. This is the game changer where you can look at food, you can look at everything from alcohol, clothing, electronics, you name it. Their clothing lines are even improved for men right now. So Target's a really solid place. They all have, I think all of them have Starbucks in them too. So if you want a coffee, you can get it all there. This is funny. And then Costco. So a little backstory. I had a Sam's Club membership. So I have compared what it was like to go to a Sam's Club and go to a Costco. And I can definitively tell you they are different experiences. And like Phil said, Costco, there's something special about it. A lot of jokes about it. You go in for a $10 purchase, you magically spent $200 somehow. We just did it recently, and there's always good finds in there. Clothing, you name it, household products. We're looking at TVs right now. All the stuff you can imagine. I haven't done it, but I've heard from friends and family. Costco travel is amazing. Their trips are amazing. You can get tires from there. You can get gas from there. It's just, it's like Phil said, it's a cult. It's crazy. And if you don't get one of their rotisserie chickens, you've done something wrong. So, it's a wild experience.
Read that depending on the last number of the price, that means something. Like it's like the last week they have it.
Correct.
Like it's going to go on sale. Like there's something with that.
Yeah, I read the same thing. So I haven't really tapped into that as much, but yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, if you're choosing between two, you know where you should go. That's what we'll say. Chris, we have one more sponsor that's for us.
Yeah, tonight's top 5 is brought to you by Gridiron Grills, where game day grilling meets championship level flavor. Whether you're tailgating at Lambeau, go Pack Go, or grilling up some brats in the backyard, Gridiron Grills gives you the perfect char every time. Need an upgrade? The new Gridiron Inferno model even comes with an app to control your grill from the couch so you don't miss a second of the game. Yes, we could all use that for our Sunday setup. So fire up those burgers, steaks, wings, and let Gridiron Grills be your secret weapon. Because champions aren't just made on the field. They're also made at the grill.
That's got to be a real product.
Thank you to all our sponsors tonight. We talked a lot of football, and it was glorious. We loved every moment of it, as did you, the audience. But we didn't talk about baseball. And we're all baseball people. Maybe we're just over fantasy baseball. Cubs are out. The Brewers lost in very tragic fashion. Not to bring it up again. And we just don't want to talk about it, but it's worth saying something just because baseball playoffs have been amazing. It's Yankees versus Guardians, Mets versus Dodgers. We'll just sign down with who do you got winning it all? If you had to put a bet on it, who would you put a bet on?
You can fact check this. I think it's going to be the Dodgers. I did say the Dodgers would win it all. So I think I'm going to be right and end on that. I think the Dodgers win it all.
I'll mix it up here. I'm going to go the New York Mets beat the Yankees.
That'd be awesome. That would be incredible.
Didn't you say that Dodgers play the Yankees? I think that was your initial take, Cato.
My prediction was Dodgers-Yankees, but I wouldn't. I mean, I think the Dodgers probably have a better chance than the Mets, but I would love to see the Subway Series and the World Series again.
Oh.
That would be sick.
Hasn't happened since 2000, was that?
2001, wasn't it?
2001, yeah, something like that.
Mike Piazza.
Yeah, I think I'm not a big Yankees fan. In fact, I'm not really a fan much at all. But I think we are all rooting for the Guardians to lose because Yankees-Mets or Yankees-Dodgers would be good for the sport, and the sport needs a jolt right now to become relevant because it is totally playing second fiddle to the NFL, which it always will, but it's like to a new low. So I will go, the long answer to your question, I will go Dodgers because I think they have the most talent. But it's kind of interesting, none of these teams have deep rotations. So we're going to see a lot of bullpenning and not a lot of starters probably going deep in games.
I just think the Yankees break it this year. I said this before. I think the Yankees break it. I don't know why. It's one of those seasons where they're like under the radar. Judge doesn't even play that well. I think like something happens with him and he shows up. Guys, it's been good. That top 5. That was a good top 5. I felt different about that top 5.
It was.
Thank you, Gridiron Grills.
Yeah, thank you.
Gosh.
Check us out on X, the Twitter. Find us on, well, I guess we usually post on Facebook. You can always comment on Facebook. On Spotify as well. Thank you for listening. We are the Man Sports Fan Podcast. If you get a chance to text Gardner, tell him you missed him on the show. Tell him you wish he was here. Also tell him to buy a mic because he needs one. Thank you for all being here. Go Pack Go. See you guys next week.